I'm Candace Harris from BoardGameGeek. I'm here with Mike from Plan B Games and also Mr. Eric Martin. We're gonna be doing a little chit chat, a little dancing, talking about a couple of Plan B's upcoming releases. Maybe we'll start with Alma Mater. Hey, Mike.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
Alma
Now we
Mater,
can see each other.
if you guys haven't seen any press on it, which I hope that by this point you have, Alma Mater is kind of a spiritual successor, if you will, to 2 years ago's Coimbra, which was a really clever medium weight Euro dice drafting, dice placement game. Alma Mater, it brings those same designers back with us. Ta-da!
Nice.
And with the same art style, which is that kind of flat paper art that you see popularized in Portugal at the time. And in this game, you are serving as headmasters of multiple universities. You're competing to have the most prestigious university possible. And how you do that is you start trying to attract the best chancellors, the best professors, the best students. Thematically, that's the overview, but in the game, it's very much like a traditional worker placement game where you're competing with other players over just two different resources, which is editions of books, some that you print your own, some are dictionaries, sort of as a wild, as well as just coin, normal cash currency. But really, the heart of the game is it's super, super clever for anyone who likes just medium weight Euro games. This is right up your alley. Like it's again, same designers as Coimbra, same designers of Lorenzo El Magnifico, Grand Austria Hotel. They have a solid track record, this Italian troupe, for just putting out super clever, super interesting titles.
Absolutely. So does Alma Mater have dice for your workers like Coimbra?
No. So in one way that this differentiates from Coimbra is that we've taken out dice as a drafting mechanism. It's pure worker placement, and you're just going to use traditional meeples. But in a couple ways that we've blinged out the game, and I'm just pulling it up here, and maybe we can see it a little bit on camera. We have really nice receded boards so that you can draft your tiles for students in here, because this is basically serving as your effectively your dorms or your student lecture halls where you're going to hold students and build them onto your engine. But some of the really cool components that we've used to bling out the game, and I'll see if I can get them on the camera here, are these really cool books, which are
nice.
really nice resin pieces that are just super beautiful to look at, fun to play with. And again, with Chris's art style, I mean, overall, it's just it's a really, really fun, intense game. Cool. It's played over 6 rounds, and as you move around, and unfortunately I don't have any art assets to show on the stream, but it's just basic worker placement with some small subtleties where you can, not bump people, but you can take spots that other people traditionally take, but by paying an extra worker or two to land there. But there's very much an engine builder because you're trying to race up tracks and develop technology and make sure that your books are the most valuable or the most interesting to other players, because you're going to draft professors, and to do that you need to pay books to have them perform lectures, and all this is very abstracted out. I'm not doing a great job of explaining it out here on the stream, but it's super, super good.
Yeah, it sounds great. So you said it's six rounds. About how long does the game take to play?
It really depends on player count, but when it comes to 2 players, I usually get a game in about an hour. But I would say it goes comfortably to like 90 to 120 minutes to play, depending on your player count. And with experience, you'll be able to trim that down a little bit.
Okay, cool. And how does the weight compare to something like Coimbra or Grand Austria Hotel?
So I put Coimbra probably middle of the road. It's by BGG's weight scale, I would say that's probably like a 3, maybe a 3.5. This is maybe a half step higher, so maybe 3.5 to 3 3/4, if you will. It's a little bit more complicated than Coimbra, only in the sense that scoring's a little ambiguous as you work through there, because there's a big emphasis on in-game scoring. But like most victory point salad type games, you'll see that I'm going to get points for doing almost every action that I perform. It's contributing to that end goal.
Nice. Eric, were you going to ask something or say something?
I was going to ask about actual release date for
Oh,
things.
so
I know
as it's
schedules
planned
have
right now, it's looking
changed.
like it's going to be released, I think, August 28th. All things
Okay.
being equal, there could be some factors that may affect distribution, especially as we're receiving titles into port here shortly. But I think as of right now, at least in the US, it's expected August 28th.
Okay. How has your production schedule been affected in general? I know we
Uh,
met with Sophie at Nuremberg, and she gave a little overview. I believe Bees was supposed to debut at Origins.
right.
And
So,
then
I
other
mean,
things. And of course, everything's a little haywire. So, how does it
Right.
rearrange things for you?
on the whole, I think what we've and I think other publishers have probably experienced is that every line of production and distribution's been impacted. So you saw bees in Nuremberg. We went ahead and this was like within a couple weeks of the Nuremberg show, we realized that there's a lot of places going to quarantine. China's where our printers are under quarantine. So we went ahead and took the time to actually delay bees. We push it back to probably Essen. We were almost ready to release it. You know, we probably would have made a July or August release with it, but we went ahead and took the time and actually changed a couple art assets and to change the component quality just to kind of give it a little extra oomph. And went ahead and said, you know what, since we're going to be delayed anyway, let's just go ahead and do what we can to make the game as well produced as possible.
Makes
So
sense.
that's, you know, specifically with bees, that's been helped, but it's been pushed back. But, you know, a lot of our releases that we were originally planning for the summer, Era's expansion, Rivers and Roads, that's been pushed back probably till near, you know, October, November. Um, Alma Mater, which was scheduled for Gen Con release, that one's the only one that really hasn't been impacted. That one actually is you know, was sent to the printer, I think, early January or late December. So we were ready to go with this. But Century Golem, the third title in the series, we were hoping to debut at Gen Con. Everything was finished on it, but because of the delays going on there, that's probably not going to make it until, if I had to guess, October or November. We haven't got a landing date yet, so. But I think on the whole,
Can
everything has been. But the good news here is that we've taken, like I said, we've taken some of the time to improve some of the games. Like Bees, we had an opportunity to go ahead and refine it further and just make sure that the tactile component was just right and the art assets were just right. So I think at the end, you know, our fans are going to be the ones who ultimately win. Yeah, it stings to have a delay, but with this, I think it's benefited all of us because we're going to have a stronger title for it.
Mike, can you give us an overview of bees for those on the stream who are watching who don't know
Yeah.
what bees is all about?
So Bees is it's the next title on the next move line, which is the home of Azul and Reeve. So it's an abstract game in spirit, but the thematic element to it is that your bees serving most bees do go out and seek to collect nectar and make honey back at your uh, back at home. So the game is very clever. I wish I had the components here, but what I like most about it is that every decision you make with it is based on this B dial, which is a little hexagon. The board is randomly distributed each game through some hexes, but on my B dial, I orient the bee whatever direction I want him to move, and whatever that direction is, it's going to have a number value: 1/5, 2/4, 3, etc. And I have to make a decision on the distance I want him to travel based on that. So if I go to the 2/4 one, I have to choose to make the bee go either 2 steps or 4 steps. When I collect the nectar there, then I have to bring that in with that same dial. I have to then find a spot in one of the rows to drop it into a 2 or 4 slot. So I'm making two decisions you know, impacting into one. There's a variety of public and private goals in the game. So you're always looking to see who's going for what, but then you have to second guess what are other people's motivations, why are they doing what they're doing. It's really, really good. It's light rules overhead, very much the same weight as Azul, and I think very
Okay.
distinct. Where it's a simple game to learn, but the decision making is a little more crunchy than what it looks like on the outside.
Yeah, that sounds pretty solid. And Eric, you checked it out
and
at
on top of it,
Nuremberg?
it's a beautiful production. Like, I don't mean to toot our team's horn, but our artist on staff, Chris Williams, is just amazing. It looks the art on the game looks amazing. The 3D sculpt and the components for the bees are really, really beautiful, and we've added a little extra weight to them so that they feel hefty, not like cheap, chinky, plastic, if you will, or like really ruddy-duddy plastic. So
Yeah, well, there are tons of fans of Azul and that kind of light rules but deep thinky games with, a bit of choices. So give us something to look forward to for later this year whenever it's ready. I'm sure it'll be
that's always
beautiful.
been my case. Like, whenever I played Azul, almost anything on the next move line really is just, there's that level of accessibility to it where, okay, I just need a little bit of a theme to hook me and interest me. But what's been really successful for us is that a lot of times we can present it to someone within 3 to 5 minutes. You're up and playing. So I like that low rules overhead, but much deeper decision making involved. Let's be real. It's not like a crunchy Lasarda based Euro.
Right.
But it's much thinkier than what it looks. But still not enough to really exhaust you. It's a good game between things, or if you want to do a couple series of them.
Cool.
And the look definitely carries over. I know you sent me an advanced look at the cover that was final except for the title, and I showed it to, I think, a half dozen different people, and most of them identified it as a Next Move Plan B title. Like, it's a very clear identity that you've constructed for your company lines. So it carries through the look of it.
I certainly appreciate you noticing that, because I think that's one of the biggest pushes that we've been that I've had. I'm not an art direction, but there's certain marketability, and look, Azul is really, really popular, very, very good in terms of attracting new players and with familiarity. So as much as we can lean into that on shelf space, it lets, whether you're uber geeks or just casuals and you've seen it, I recognize that immediately, and I know that, hey, the same publisher that put this out, I'm probably going to have a very similar experience. So we're kind of leaning into that. So I appreciate the subtlety and the notice on that, because that's exactly what we were going for.
Yeah, that's great. And then there's also a third Century Golem coming out later this year.
Yes, exactly. So Century Golem 2, which is Eastern Mountains. Right. This is expected in retail by the end of July. So unless I'm incorrect, I think we're expecting the July 30th. So fans who did not order it directly from us or got it from us at a convention, you'll be able to get this at your local FLGS or LGS of choice. But Century Golem, the third one, to finalize the trilogy, I don't have a production copy to show you, but that one, which is labeled an Endless World, is expected probably October or November. So same thing with the rest of the Century Golem line. It copies its alternative, which is Eastern, or excuse me, is a New World. I have a guest host popping in. But Century, I'm certain that we've seen this before, but Century Golem, an Endless World copies Century and New World, which is a worker placement style game. Very light rules overhead, but lots of clever mechanisms in the sense that I'm doing set collection that's light. I'm building a little bit of a tableau and unlocking new spaces as I go on. But the big, I think, appeal here is that Century Golem fans have been wanting to complete this trilogy ever since our announcement of a trilogy. And we're now able to satisfy all those fans and bring it to a conclusion. And the games, if you haven't played a New World yet, it's super, super streamlined. It's a great intro to worker placement games that I would line up with like Stone Age and Lords of Waterdeep. Just really accessible gameplay, really, really fun. And if you didn't capture, all these, the beautiful manga style, anime style art and the really amazing color palettes that Chris puts together, here's your chance to bring it home and own it. So,
go
ahead. No, I was just gonna say I played the first Century Golem, and I ended up that's the one that's similar to Century Spice Road, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. I love those all the components were so great for it, and it's such an easy game to get into, but engine building and I'm a fan of the line.
I think all credit to Emerson as a designer. He's super streamlined. I mean, I think what he does best is he makes efficient use out of decisions and streamlines it so that it's the simplest action that you can possibly perform. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to play a card. I'm going to place a worker, perform that action. It's super, super smooth. But the complications then grow as your decision tree widens and more spots open up or you get more cards in your hand. I don't know. I'm obviously biased, but it's one of our favorites as well. It's been incredibly successful for us. So, and fans have been desiring this, wanting this for a while. So we're very glad to satisfy them all and bring it to a close.
Cool. You're taking a different route to distribution with 3. So initially with the earlier Golem titles, it was initially available only through Plan B. And I believe the third one is actually going through distribution through stores. Maybe you can clarify.
Right. So the intention here, like we typically would release at a show and then have some exclusivity to our web shop, just as a means to generate interest in our web shop, have people pick up promos, and this is obviously typically the most profitable means for a publisher. But we're looking around and we're seeing how many FLGSs especially are struggling to have people have a reason to go there, because Amazon, I think, has swallowed a lot of business. So we decided to go straight to retail with this. It's going to go straight into hobby distribution, so that your local retailer can take that pre-order. They should be able to take that pre-order right away, and you can anticipate it in the fall. But the intention here was purely just to make sure that the backbone of this industry that we're in is still being taken care of. Because as much as I love Amazon, and I do, Amazon doesn't care about growing the next generation of gamers, if you will. And this is a means that we can help them rather than hoard it and be exclusive for a year. We want to make sure that they have access to it. So, I've been telling retailers, as soon as you take Century, your customers picking up Century Golem, Eastern Mountains, let them know that you can pick up or you can pre-order an Endless World and they'll be ready for them in a couple months.
That's awesome. Eric, did you have anything else to add?
We had a couple more minutes. I would imagine you were talking about the simplicity with the depth of bees. Now, of course, this is the third. I was going to say third title by Next Move. There's the Azul series, and then Reef, and then Bees.
Well, there's also 5211. We forgot about that.
That's true. That is a Next Move title. Okay, that's right, because that's got the four character title as well. It fits in the
that's
catalog.
That's the hallmark.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So how difficult is it to find a title like that? I mean, how many do you have, like a hit rate of how many things you look at to actually get what makes it into publication?
I can tell you a little bit of anecdotal evidence. I'm not acquisitions. That's if you're looking to pitch games to us, talk to Martin. You're welcome to email me if you have ideas or suggestions. If you want to pitch something. But I probably personally weed through 10 or 12 submissions, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, almost a month. So I would probably say about 10 to 15 a month. And the vast majority of those, there's room for improvement. And if it's something that I think is particularly exceptional, I'll pass it along to Martin. I know Martin, who does most of our acquisitions, or Sophie, a lot of them, we have pre-existing relationships with designers or designer clubs, and they'll go see them. Especially helpful in convention season. I know, Martin and I probably sit through 30 maybe pitches in a normal Gen Con or a normal Origins. So, and that's not, that's just physical face to face. We came across Bees because the designer Dan Halstead, I think, went to Essen 2 years ago when we were there, and the title looked interesting, and after seeing it and playing it, they loved it. So we've actually, again, for our praises, I think that the team's done a really good job with production. I think designers recognize that. So we're in a really good place now where our product slate's scheduled for the next 2 or 3 years. Like, we're pretty well packed. But we've got a very strong stable of designers interested in working with us because of our pedigree with marketing, production, delivering really good game experiences to fans. So, knock on wood that continues. But yeah.
Awesome.
That's good.
We have a couple more minutes. Mike, do you have anything else you'd like to share? Anything upcoming with Plan B Games, or Eric, do you have anything else you're thinking?
I'll defer to Mike.
Well, I'll talk for a minute. I'll let Eric formulate some stuff, but I would anticipate seeing a couple more announcements coming from us. I don't have anything to prepare and announce today. I know Eric was strong-arming me in emails to do this, and threatening me to come out with a really hot announcement. But we do have a few more announcements. Our Summer of Golems is continuing. You'll probably see another announcement in the next month or so. And then we'll be making some announcements for what would be delivered our Essen releases. So keep your eyes peeled. There's a lot of good things coming out of here. And the nice thing with our team is that they've been pretty flexible and able to work from home when we were under quarantine. So our production cycle on our side hasn't been impacted too much, giving us an opportunity to continue working on and developing super good games. So we're really excited to share some of the upcoming news. Just, I would say, stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
Mostly I was curious just because, as you mentioned, you see, dozens of submissions at conventions, and now those just aren't happening. So I don't know if that's affected things, but if you're planned 3 years out, then it sounds like you're already set, unless you're looking for 2024.
Again, I think the real benefit to us and the real advantage that we've had is that, we've had strong relationships. We have a foot in Europe and as well as in North America, where the editorial team is in Germany and the art and graphics team is in Canada. So we've had a really good opportunity to continue to have those conversations with designers and keep on building relationships. So you'll probably see some of your favorite designers, some of the designers we've worked with and we've really enjoyed working with in the past. You'll probably continue to see some more of their future titles just because we've had such successful partnerships with them and bringing their games to life. So you'll see more, but yeah, unfortunately that space is vacant. But that doesn't mean that even if we're not going to convention, tabletop simulator is a thing. We've had people do that. We've had a lot of designers do YouTube pitches where they go over 3 to 5 minutes, like do an overview of a game and step us through it. So that's not slowing us down in terms of it's generally really easy to squeeze 20 pitches into a single weekend. But in some ways it's more freeing so that we can do this a little less crazy, a little less like we're under time constraints, so we can do this and make sure that we find really good games. So we're continuing to get pitches, and that isn't to say don't pitch if there's any designers out there. If you get something really amazing, really interesting, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm on BGG. I'm very active. You can send it to me at my email, mike@planbgames.com. I'm not acquisitions, but if it looks interesting, I'll at least bump it forward and give it a thumbs up that I'm interested in it. So
cool. Well, thanks for chatting with us, Mike, from Plan B Games. We took a look at Alma Mater. Last minute after Eric strong-armed you in here.
We didn't get an email just hours ago. No, this has been planned.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for watching, everybody.